Now let's meet our candidates for Vice President for Legislative Affairs. Andrew Deering, a sophomore criminal justice major from Montgomery, Alabama, and Margaret White is a sophomore elementary education major from Madison, Alabama. Andrew, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Like Jordan said, my name is Andrew Deering and I'm a sophomore, and I'm majoring in criminal justice and double minoring in leadership development along with legal studies. I'm heavily involved here at Troy, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity to serve the student body as a possible VPLA. I have 2 years of experience in the SGA. My first year I was a senator in the Student Life Committee, and my second year, my current term, I'm the chairman for the Constitution and Rules Committee. And as the Constitution and Rules Committee chair, I've had the opportunity to work closely with the current VPLA and see the ins and outs of the legislation that takes place during the SGA meetings. And because of that, I've had the opportunity to see the responsibilities that the VPLA has. And with that being said, I'm willing and honored to work for the VPLA position, and once I get that position, hopefully be able to ensure the efficient transaction of business during the SGA meetings, and in doing so, bring attainable progress for all of us here at Troy University. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Now, Margaret, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Margaret White, and I'm a sophomore elementary education major from Madison, Alabama, and I've called Troy University my home for the past 2 years. Over the past 2 years, I've been involved in many different things at Troy University, such as serving as the freshman forum secretary, as well as being on the academic life committee this year in student government. I also serve as a resident assistant for Trojan Village. This past year in SGA, I've been honored to be elected the president pro tempore, which is the right-hand man for the VPLA. During this role, I've been able to see what the VPLA does and get a better insight as to what the meetings run like and how we need to run the meetings. Thank you,
Thank you, Margaret. Now the questions. Andrew, every year the SGA votes on its standing rules, which includes saying a prayer and pledge of allegiance at the beginning of the meeting. Would you encourage Senate debate on these 2 items?
Thank you. Yes, Jordan, I do. I think that because the Senate represents the entire student body, that each senator should have the opportunity to voice their opinions. And if a senator doesn't agree with whatever motion that we're trying to pass, then they should be able to get up and use their right to express their opinions because they are a senator and they do represent the entire student body. And I do encourage debate, and at the end, once all debates are heard, it will come down to a final vote, and that's where the organization of the Senate is going to be able to take place and the legislation is going to be able to be passed. But I do believe that each senator should be able to voice his or her opinions on whatever issue is being brought up to the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Margaret, the same question.
Thank you for asking, Jordan. I do think it's important that SGA debates and talks about all the bills that are brought before us. As mentioned, we do the first transaction that we do is saying the pledge and the prayer. I think it's important for the senators to debate this because we represent Troy University. And as mentioned before throughout the evening, Troy University is such a diverse group of students from all over the country, all over the world, and we all have different views, different beliefs, and it's really important that SGA, that we reflect that we reflect not only our beliefs as senators, but for the people that we represent, for the students that we represent. So I definitely encourage and hope that there's a lot of debate within SGA. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Your second question. One of the Senate committees is student welfare. What is a specific activity you would encourage student welfare senators to work on to benefit students?
Thank you so much for asking. This past year, our Student Welfare Committee has done a wonderful job of ensuring the safety of our students. They've worked to make sure that light posts are put up around campus and that students feel safe around parking and the directional flow of traffic. If I was elected VPLA, I would ensure that the Student Welfare Committee continues this work that they've done. I want to make sure that all students feel safe, that we feel safe walking from one end of campus to the next, whether it's during the day or it's at night. And as VPLA, I would encourage the students to come and talk. Come talk at the meetings. Come talk to the senators. Come talk to the executive officers in our office. I would really encourage the students to come and make sure their voice is heard so that their concerns can be addressed. Thank you.
Andrew, here's your chance to answer the same question.
Thank you. Like Margaret was saying, the SGA is not an exclusive group. We represent the entire student body. And so I want students to be able to connect with the SGA because we represent them. And student welfare has been working to ensure the safety and ensure the betterment of the entire experience as Troy University students. And one of the things that they really focus on is lighting on campus. And so I want to be able to ensure that people are not afraid to walk to class. And I remember last year in the Senate, they had this new app that came out, and it was able to send help if something were to happen, if your phone were to turn off or something. And so the Student Welfare Committee is always coming up with new ideas and being productive and making progress with ensuring the safety and the well-being of all of the students. Another thing that they were working on is a new bus system for the students, and so that we can have the most productivity when getting students to class very safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret White and Andrew Deering, your candidates for Vice President for Legislative Affairs.